$2. That's roughly what it costs to make a vial of insulin, the drug that keeps about 8 million Americans alive. $2. And at the pharmacy counter, that same vial can run you $300. A medicine that's been around for 100 years, that costs about the price of a coffee to produce, sold for the price of a car payment. So here's the question we're going to answer, dollar by dollar, hand by hand. When you pay $300 for insulin, where does your money actually go? Who reaches in between that factory and your bloodstream? And how big a cut do they take? Pin your receipt to the top of the screen, because we're going to dock every cut as it happens. Everyone takes a cut. Let's find out who gets yours. First, what insulin actually is. It's a hormone. Your body normally makes it to turn food into energy. If you have type 1 diabetes, yours doesn't. And without a replacement, you don't feel bad, you die. So this isn't a luxury good, it's a survival good. And here's the part that makes the price tag so strange. Insulin was discovered in 1923 in a lab in Toronto. The men who discovered it, Banting, Best, and Collip, sold the patent to the university for $1. $1. Banting said insulin belonged to the world, not to him. He didn't believe anyone should get rich off a medicine people need to live. 100 years later, a vial that costs about $2 to $4 to manufacture sells in America for up to $300. So somewhere between a $1 patent and a $300 vial, a lot of hands got involved. Let's follow them, starting with the people who actually make it. 3 companies make almost all the insulin in America: Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi. They run the factories, they hold the modern patents, and, this is the important part, they set the list price. That's the sticker number, the $300. Now, making the drug is cheap, a couple of dollars a vial, but the makers will tell you the price isn't about the vial. It's about research, trials, marketing, and yes, profit. And they do keep a lot of it. Of every $300 spent on insulin, the manufacturers take about 141, roughly 47%. Look at Eli Lilly's own annual report, filed with the government. It costs them about 17 cents to make each dollar of medicine they sell, and they keep nearly 32 cents of every dollar as pure profit, more than $20 billion in a single year. So the first and biggest cut, $135 on top of the few dollars the vial actually cost, goes to the company whose name is on the box. But here's the twist that the blame Big Pharma crowd misses. The maker isn't even where most of your money ends up. Before that vial ever reaches your pharmacy, it passes through a wholesaler, a distributor who buys it from the maker and ships it out. 3 of them, McKesson, Cencora, and Cardinal Health, handle about 95% of all the drugs in America. You've probably never heard of them, and honestly, they'd prefer it that way. For moving the box, they take about 8% of your $300, roughly $24. It's not the biggest slice, but remember what it's for. This is logistics. $24 to truck and warehouse a vial that costs $2 to make. The medicine hasn't even reached the counter yet, and we're already more than 10 times past what the drug itself is worth. And the 2 players taking the strangest cuts are still ahead of us. Now we reach the middleman almost nobody can explain, and the one taking the cut that quietly started this whole mess. The Pharmacy Benefit Manager, the PBM. Officially, they negotiate drug prices on behalf of your insurer to get you a better deal. 3 of them, CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and OptumRx, control more than 70% of all prescriptions in the country. Here's how their cut actually works. The PBM tells the insulin maker, "You want your drug on our list, the one millions of patients are allowed to use? Then pay us a rebate, a kickback, calculated off the list price." So the maker raises the sticker price and hands a slice of it back to the PBM. The higher the list price climbs, the bigger the rebate. You see the problem. The people who are supposed to push the price down get paid more when it goes up. The PBM's cut of your $300 is about $42, 14%. And between 2014 and 2018, while the whole country was screaming about insulin prices, the PBM's share didn't shrink. It grew 155%. This is the cut hiding inside the sticker shock.
Then there's the pharmacy itself, the actual counter where you hand over your card. CVS, Walgreens, the drugstore on the corner. They buy the vial from the wholesaler and sell it to you, and they keep the spread. On insulin, the pharmacy's cut is about 20%, roughly $60 of your $300. That's the single biggest slice after the manufacturer. $60 to take a vial off a shelf and slide it across the counter. Now, to be fair, pharmacies have real costs, staff, rent, and the PBM squeezing them from the other side, so this isn't all profit. But it's another $60 stacked onto a $2 drug, and your receipt at the top of the screen is getting awfully crowded for a medicine that was given to the world for $1. And then there's your insurance company, the one you're already paying every month, supposedly to protect you from exactly this. When you're insured, the plan covers part of the cost and passes part to you through your deductible and copay. But the insurer also captures a share of those rebates the PBM negotiated. And here's the kicker. In many cases, the insurer owns the PBM. CVS owns Caremark. Cigna owns Express Scripts. United Health owns Optum Rx. The same corporation is your insurer, your middleman, and sometimes your pharmacy, taking a cut at 3 different windows. The health plan slice of your $300 is about $33, 11%. And if you're uninsured, you skip the insurer entirely and just eat the full list price at the counter. The system is built so that the people with the least pay the most. So let's lay the whole receipt out one last time. $300 for a vial of insulin. The manufacturers, Lilly, Novo, Sanofi, take $141. The pharmacy takes $60. The PBM takes $42. The insurer takes $33. The wholesaler takes $24. Now add up everyone who never invented anything and never cured anyone. The pharmacy, the PBM, the insurer, the wholesaler. Together, the middlemen take $159. More than half of every dollar you spend on insulin goes to people who simply move it, list it, or bill it. That is more than the company that actually makes the drug keeps. And the medicine itself, the actual hormone in the vial, the thing keeping you alive, costs about $2 to $6 out of $300. Sit with that number for a second. Of the $300, the drug, the thing you are actually buying, the thing you will die without, costs around $6 to make. Maybe $2. Everything else, the other 98%, is the price of the hands it passed through. The chemistry was solved 100 years ago and given away for $1. There is no new science to pay for in a vial of basic insulin. The molecule is not the expensive part. The expensive part is the machine that's been built between the molecule and your veins. And every hand in that machine is quietly incentivized to keep the sticker price exactly where it is. Because almost everyone's cut is a percentage of it. The higher the number on the receipt, the more there is to share.
Is $300 just what insulin costs? Not on planet Earth it isn't. The Rand Corporation, working for the United States government, compared insulin prices across 33 wealthy countries. The average price per unit of insulin in America, $98.70. The average across every other country, $8.81. Americans pay about 11 times what the rest of the developed world pays for the exact same drug, often made in the exact same factories. In Canada, that vial runs about $30. In the United Kingdom, the diabetic pays nothing at the counter at all. It isn't the chemistry that's different, it's the chain. Every other rich country put a ceiling on the markup. America left the ceiling off and let everyone build.
Here's what makes this whole thing almost funny, in a dark sort of way. In 2023, after years of outrage and a couple of new federal laws, Eli Lilly suddenly cut the list price of its main insulin by 70%, from $275 a vial down to about $66, and it capped what patients pay at $35 a month. Novo Nordisk and Sanofi followed within weeks. Think hard about what that admission means. If they can drop the price to $66, cap your cost at $35, and still run a profitable business, then the $300 was never the cost of the medicine. It was the cost of the system, and the system finally blinked. So the question isn't really why insulin got cheaper in 2023. The question is why it took 100 years, and what it cost the people who couldn't wait. So here's your receipt, fully itemized at last. Out of $300 for a vial of insulin, $141 to the makers, $60 to the pharmacy, $42 to the PBM, $33 to the insurer, $24 to the wholesaler, and the medicine itself? The thing discovered in 1923 and sold to the entire world for a single dollar? About $2. $300 sliced into a half dozen hands, almost none of them the one that actually saves your life. That's the cut. Now you know who gets yours.